Welcome to today's lesson, solving word problems. Please make sure you are filling out your template as you watch this lesson. Stop it at any time to write down information. Rewind it if needed. Here is our problem today. Danny Noonan went golfing again at the driving range. He wanted to practice his drives. His second drive was 80 yards more than his third drive. His first drive was 20 yards less than his third drive. The total of all three drives was 960 yards. Calculate the distance of each drive. Our first step is to understand the problem. We want to check for some words that are going to help us in this process. The first thing we do is we want to figure out what the question is asking us. So we look at the end of the question and we realize that we have to calculate the distance of each drive. We want to know how many drives that he took. It says that he had a second drive, a third drive, and a first drive. So we realize that he took 3 drives and the total was 960 yards. In this process, we also realize that it would be good for us to use algebra to help solve this problem. Now we want to create some expressions to help us with this process. The first thing we're going to do is create a chart that's going to help us organize our thinking. Again, when we understood the problem, we know that we have a first drive, a second drive, and a third drive. So we are going to create a very simple chart to help us organize our work. We look back at the question, which you see in the top left corner, and it says, again, reading it, that his second drive was 80 meters more than his third drive. His first drive was 20 yards less than his third drive. We want to find out which of these drives we should make our variable. And if we look back in the question, we see that the second drive was related to his third drive, or compared, and the first drive was also compared to the third drive. So that tells us we should make that third drive our variable. Today we are going to select X. Once we have determined that, we now look back and see if the third drive was X, how does the second drive compare to that variable? It says the second drive was 80 meters more. We still don't know that third drive, but we have called it X. And the second drive is 80 meters more. So that would be X plus 80. We look back for the information for the first drive. It says that the first drive was 20 yards less. Again, the third drive was X, and if the first drive was 20 yards less than that, we would represent that with the expression X minus 20. Now we are going to group the like terms. We count up the number of X's. We have 1 in the first drive, 2 in the second drive, 3 in the third drive, which gives us a total of 3X. Now we are going to figure out the number to add to our expression, and we have minus 20 plus 80. When we add those two numbers together, we get positive 60. So our expression is 3x minus 60. Now we take our expression 3x plus 60, and we are going to turn it into an equation by figuring out what the total number of drives were. 3x plus 6 equals plus 60 equals 960. Now we've created our equation. We can solve. Now we are going to solve our equation. 3x plus 60 minus 60 equals 960 minus 60, doing the same thing to both sides. We are now left with 3x equals 900. We divide both sides by 3 and get a total of 300. So x equals 300. Now, when we check our answer, we know that x equals 300. The second hit was 80 meters longer than the third hit, so that would make that distance 380. And if the first hit was 20 meters less than our third hit, that would give us a total of 280. When we add these numbers together, we should get our total of 960, which we do, and that helps us solve these types of equations. So again, the third hit was 300, the second hit was 80 yards longer, 380, the first hit was 20 yards less, giving us a total of 280 for the first hit. We check our answer to make sure those three numbers equal our grand total, and we get 960. Now it's your turn. Try that strategy with this question. We will take it up tomorrow in class. Please attempt it using the same strategy you learned in this lesson. Good luck and have fun.